For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the speed metal kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And now, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Sunday evening is here once again, and that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 133 coming your way. Of course, bringing you the latest news in our Auburn potpourri segment, 2 major topics as well in the Auburn space this week. Let's get into all things orange and blue right now. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and of course, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, is if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us and what we're going to be doing here today, the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 133. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Loomis. Alongside me, as always, too, Austin Scott, back to discuss all things orange and blue. Welcome back, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. War Eagle to you, War Eagle to our viewers and listeners. You're not on the road this week. That's good. You were on the road shortly before this, but you are not on the road currently anymore. So it's good to see your familiar setup.
Yeah, you're probably getting more used to seeing part 2 of the, I guess, headquarters, although it's just a green wall in a random house that I will not reveal the location of, not because it's secret, just because I don't want anybody bothering someone to find all those fans out there want to know where all the magic happens.
Sure.
Yeah, we certainly had an interesting week this week that I had been away from a lot of the content and social media. I tried my best to keep up with some of that, but it was a little bit interesting. But certainly, we're back in studio this week. Happy to be here because a lot has happened and transpired. Some good, some bad. And certainly, we're going to tackle a variety of those things today across all of our different segments. Auburn potpourri, 2 major topics, summer drama, and Auburn and the MLB, specifically the MLB draft. I want to start us off with this, though, Austin, and this pertains to what I already talked about this week. While I don't have any really cool Auburn experience stories, I can tell you for a fact that I was out snooping and doing a little reconnaissance.
Doing some recon
out there in Waco, Texas. And the Baylor Bears, I was sniffing around. Saw McLean Stadium, may or may not have thrown a jersey on a statue or things. No, I didn't do anything like that.
Is there a statue out there?
There's
RG3 statue out there?
RG3 statues out there. And just wandered around the campus a little bit, as much as you could during a very busy week. For those of you that maybe, I don't know if I had spoken about this last week, but my youngest brother, Carson, just got married to the love of his life, Miss Abigail.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations to him. They are off doing things that, the honeymoon and all that stuff. So he's probably not going to hear this for another week, but we just want to make sure that we congratulate him and wish them well. Listen, you don't have to make this awkward. You're the one that's over here smiling. I rolled right past it. And I can't stand your face right now because congratulations to you.
Phrasing.
Congratulations to you, brother. And
Congrats.
We are very excited for you. However, he's marrying a Baylor Bear. What are the odds, Austin, that I would have a Baylor Bear enter the family the same year that they play?
Just a mere month and a half before. The timing is everything. So that certainly throws a monkey wrench into the family dynamic. But at least it's not a regular thing. It's just for these next couple of years, there'll be a little fun banter between the two and the rest of the family. So that's pretty cool, though. We've talked about it before that my mom is a Baylor Bear, graduated and is a proud Baylor alum. And so now we both have a little connection toward the season opener here not soon away.
Well, and to be clear, I have a big time connection because not only is our new addition to the family a Baylor Bear, my
Oh
brother is
yeah.
a seminary grad. Both brothers are seminary grads of Baylor, Truett Seminary over there at Baylor University. So we're really strongly connected to that university now, whether we want to be or not. And I just have to say, this whole sick 'em Bears thing that they do, I'm like, you don't. I even had this debate with my middle brother during the week. You don't sick bears on anything. Like you sick dogs on things, or like maybe you sick a cat on something. You don't sick a bear.
That's a valid point. It's not as logical.
It is not logical.
Unless there are. Look, Waco can, it's out there in Texas. It's
Boy, is it
a
out there.
drive, as you know. So maybe there's people out there that sick bears on people. I don't know.
I don't know. It's weird, and certainly when we get a little bit closer to time, we may I may give you some perspectives about what to do. I don't know if it'll work out, but it might be a good idea to have my brothers on like a segment of a
There you
different
go.
video, just to give you guys, the Auburn faithful that are going to be traveling out there, some pointers about what to do. I can certainly do that a little bit, but they're
Kyle.
going to, what we got?
My mom would love that. We could do a family night.
We could do an Auburn
Yeah,
and Baylor family night.
a little bit of from the other side with some places to go, places to eat, and things like that. That could be fun.
The Cal Bear fans loved it last year when we did that segment. It was very popular. A lot of them watched the show that last year when they did that.
But we got some good family connections to it. You and I do. I think that could be a good idea.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what's been happening for me this week. Have you had a less interesting week or anything?
Oh, never. But it's been a good week. We started off our week sneaking into Camp War Eagle. It's more popular than it sounds, but I still felt like I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing. But we've been meaning to do that. It's a little later than the boys' bedtime, and so we decided to wing it last Monday and go over there and walk in Jordan-Hare with the rest of the freshmen, soon to becoming part of the Auburn family here in a little bit, and got to see the pep rally, and it was a blast. And it's different than I remember it, like the other side of the stadium, different. But it was very cool. The nun, she's still there.
I was going to ask, was she still there?
She's still kicking.
Ah, man,
we walked in right past her. She looked at the boys. She said, "I'm gonna still be doing this when they come," and I fully believe her. But it was awesome, man. She did her thing and got everybody riled up and had a good time. No appearances from coaches in person. Bruce gave a video announcement, and we heard from the SGA president. We saw Aubrn do a skit. That is the reason we went, and it was very popular among the twins. But it was a good time, man. I was very impressed. Lots of people, and it brought me back. Brought a little Auburn tear to my eye.
See, that's the thing. During this time of year, we do a lot of like reminiscing because you're moving into that time period where everybody's going to start moving in. I rolled through Auburn today, actually, on a recording date, just for a little brief, just to check in and see what's going on. Took some photos and videos and things like that, as I tend to do, to share on social media. And you just start thinking, you're like, you know what? In just a few short weeks, this town's going to be filled up with, and I even saw some of it today, of beds of trucks filled up with furniture and people moving in. And I mean, it's right around the corner, folks.
It is.
We got athletics to talk about. We got so many amazing things in the Auburn sports and all kinds of space to talk about. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump into Auburn Potpourri and get you updated on some of the smaller Auburn news stories that kicked off the week, and even went on throughout the week. I want to start with, I love talking schedule stuff, especially for basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Because while we're sitting here waiting for basketball season to arrive once again after that amazing year, I love getting excited about things. And certainly we have seen a lot of those things come to fruition. The full schedule's not out quite yet as we're speaking about this, but men's basketball just announced an exhibition game with Oklahoma State in Birmingham at I forget the name of the building, because do you remember?
Boutwell Auditorium.
Where is this, Austin? Because I've never heard of it. I feel like I'm doing something wrong by not being aware of it.
Yeah, it's downtown / outskirts of downtown Birmingham. It's been around a long time. I did some extracurricular competitions down there growing up. Like it's just in a big event space. I think they've recently started getting a little bit nicer, like Legacy Arena did, to host some of these big time basketball tournaments or games or weekends, whatever. I think Alabama played somebody there last year. It's about the same size as like the BJCC, but
Okay.
it is not at the BJCC. I think that'll be a misconception here for
Yeah.
a little while. It is at Boutwell Auditorium.
Yeah, I that's what threw me off is when I didn't hear Legacy Arena, anything like that. I was like, wait a minute. I mean, it's an exhibition game, right? This is
Yeah.
just hey, let's get things tuned up here. The coolest thing about this is Oklahoma State. You're playing a big time opponent in an exhibition matchup. You hear about last year was kind of cool with FAU because they've had their championship game run recently, so there was some relevancy to them being in an exhibition game. However, you've now got Oklahoma State, who's part of the Big 12, who's had some pretty good runs even recent times as basketball. This feels new, and I kind of like this, Austin.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's not, and I don't like to use this in college basketball because it really doesn't translate as well as it does other sports, but it's not Power 4. It is Power 4. It's not like it has been in the past. Like
Sure.
FAU, even though has been a traditional power here as of late in the NCAA tournament, and was a good exhibition game for Auburn to host. And we talked about raise some money for charity and things like that. It is a kind of one of these like kickoff games like we see in football that is against another Power 4 opponent, but is going to be a preseason exhibition. So I really like it. I had similar thoughts to you. I thought about the Furman game that was not televised or anything like that. And neither was FAU, but a couple of years ago where Auburn went to Greenville and played Furman. But these exhibitions have been so low key, and they're not like there's not a lot of fluff about them. They haven't turned them into a promotional thing, and it sounds like they're doing it with this event. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
I think it'll give a lot of people a lot of chance to go watch this Auburn team, figure out some things to start the year.
Yeah, definitely. And make sure you're looking for tickets for that. That's going to be October 15th at that arena that I'm not familiar with, apparently. And you can always get your tickets at SeatGeek and use our code E2C Network for your first purchase to get some percentage off there, or a certain, I think it's like $20 off. So consider that. Go check them out. Look, this may be one of your few times for a more decent price. And I don't know what the details are going to be around this, maybe supporting something to go and see the Auburn Tigers. So Auburn versus Oklahoma State coming up in just a few months here. Basketball will be here before you know it. I do want to talk about some football news, and certainly we're going to be diving into this a little bit in more detail next week. But you and I think, predicted what the SEC Media Days attendees were going to be. Did we predict this or no? Am I wrong?
I want to say we did. I don't remember what I said. I think we might have vaguely talked about it, but I do remember us thinking maybe not Keldrick Falk because he'd been before. Of course, what do we know? But I don't remember who I said if we did, but I feel like we talked about it.
Sure. Yeah. And I think I know on one of the various things we do, I made a prediction, and I know I said Connor Lew. So let me just say it right here.
I remember you saying that too, actually. So it must have been on the show.
So Keldrick Falk, Connor Lew, Jackson Arnold. Very, I feel like, obvious choices. Typically, you see a defensive and an offensive guy, and then maybe another one of the two, or maybe sometimes a special teams player. Here you've got two offensive guys and one defensive guy. So Connor Lew, I think, is a no-brainer. He is up and coming. A lot of people have been high on him for a long time. Definitely Jackson Arnold, as far as being a quarterback, everybody's talking about that. That's an obvious-ish choice too. Keldrick Falk, I think, is the big story here. He goes in a very rare situation. Auburn sending a true sophomore. He's back again this year. Thoughts on that? I mean, I don't think there's a negative about this or anything like that, but I'm just curious, like, what you think about 2 years in a row for Keldrick Falk.
Well, I think it speaks a lot of who he is off the field, right? I think that Hugh Freeze and Auburn trust he's going to represent them very well, and how he talks and how he conducts himself in Atlanta. I think that it just makes a lot of sense that he's a good representative of this Auburn team. He's on a lot of big boards for the draft next year. He is Auburn's most, I don't want to say high profile, but he is Auburn's big prospect people are looking at to do things big this year. Of course, we think there's going to be others, but Keldrick Falk's certainly on a lot of people's lists. And so I think it makes sense. I'm excited to hear from him again. I thought he did a really good job last year. The one I was surprised, Kyle, and I think that we would have, I really wish, I guess we did. I didn't make a prediction because I don't remember it, but I would have said Cam Coleman, I think, just because of the that same kind of aura. Now it's a true sophomore again. And we mentioned how big of a deal that was last year of Keldrick Falk being the first one. So maybe that was just not something they wanted to repeat. But I think this does solidify to anyone who was still doubting that Jackson Arnold's probably your starting quarterback.
First of all, I got to address this. Did you just use the word aura?
No, I said
aura. Whatever.
I work at a high school.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I couldn't let that slide without at least addressing.
Can I tell you a really quick story?
Yeah,
is that
go
one
ahead.
time I'm standing in our home baseball dugout at the high school I work at, and I don't remember. I did something. I think I caught they were throwing in for balls from warming up between innings, and somebody threw one. I caught it, just put it in the bucket with my camera next to me, and the kid next to me goes, "That was so much aura." And I was like, "Can you explain to me what that means? Because I have no idea what you're talking about." He's like a sophomore in high school. I'm like, and he tells me, he's like, "This is the oldest I've ever felt." But look, I just used it. So I must be getting some cred, right?
Yeah, you might be getting some credit. I don't know. Listen, I'm not hip to the groove and all that and all the phrases you can use. I'm getting older every day. So I just see that word thrown around a lot, and it just like makes me twitch when I see somebody say
it's like it's the new swag.
There we go. So that's what it's going to be. I'll try to get more with it. But anyway, those guys are your representatives. Excited to see Keldrick Falk back for a second time. I think Kay and Lee would have been a great choice as well, defensive wise. I think if I made a prediction elsewhere, it was probably Kay and Lee, Jackson Arnold, Connor Lou. So we're right in the ballpark of where we should have been. I think it just speaks to how awesome Connor Lou, Jackson Arnold, but especially Keldrick Falk, what he means for this football team and what he already accomplished in his.
Would have loved to see our punter go, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. He'll get another opportunity, I'm sure, someday, and we can try to pronounce his name properly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a little bit of track and field here. I love when we get an opportunity to talk about history being made here, because not enough people talk about Auburn track and field. The Bowerman Award. So most people pronounce that right. Bowerman Award is, if I'm saying this correctly, and I think my wife even confirmed this to me this week when we were talking about it, this is the Heisman Trophy, essentially, of track and field. If I've got that wrong for any of you track and field aficionados out of there, I am so sorry.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Is that all events, like distance, sprint, field, everything, or
don't know? And thanks for making that more difficult to me.
Maybe Jessica's listening and can pop her head in there.
Oh, Jessica,
I'm just curious if that was.
Yeah, I don't know. Jessica's asleep right now because it's been a long week traveling back. I wish I was too.
It's just such a diverse sport that I didn't know if they do that for everything. I mean, I think you could. I think there's some that stand out, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know it's prestigious enough, and it's historical for Auburn. We have got Jacoby Tharp, who has represented Auburn so well, especially for the last 2 years, but especially this year too. He has become the first Auburn finalist for the Bowerman Award. And you shouldn't be shocked. This shouldn't be a shock when your head coach is Leroy Burrell. He's been a sprinter. I believe, a little different events for our head coach and Jacoby Tharp. But for the very first time, we're seeing this Auburn being mentioned in the finalists. I'm not saying he's going to win or anything like that. I don't know when the award's given out, but this is huge for the history of Auburn, history of track and field program.
Yeah, very cool. Very something that we don't, like you said, not accustomed to seeing that much, but very neat for Auburn and Jacoby. And, if it happens, it'll be celebrated certainly on this show, but celebrated by Auburn and another notch in the belt for Leroy Burrell as he's building this team. So very, very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool, and excited to see what he might do in that award finalist situation, and who else might make history with Auburn this new leadership and new direction that they've been heading with track and field. Let's talk about football to round out this potpourri start. We'll talk about Auburn recruiting, latest commitment as of this Sunday evening for episode 133 of this podcast. We've got linebacker for 2026, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce this correctly. Adam Balagan Ali. Sorry, well done. Listen with confidence, right?
I'll believe it.
I'll believe it too. I'm trying to believe myself.
Believe it.
Okay, now we're just going off the rails. Linebacker commit 2026. Certainly, we've talked about this a lot the last couple episodes of people are nervous or overplaying things about golf and recruiting and things like that. And folks, I just got to tell you this. just stay the course. I want to say this, that we want to talk about him, but Kenyatta Watson put out, this is a marathon, not a sprint, folks. And too many of y'all are focused. Look at the transition from track and field that just happened right now. But linebacker in 2026 linebacker at that is a great sign that continuing to build the program, even when people's opinions about it, the recruiting class aren't as high right now. So a nice addition for us.
Yeah, like you said, I think that's probably the biggest thing. I'm sure Adam is incredibly talented, and certainly Auburn wouldn't be giving him a look if he wasn't. I do think that it speaks even more so that this kind of shows things are not totally off the rails like some would lead you to believe. I think that things are just going to be just fine, and it's an ever evolving world we're in right now in college athletics as it pertains to recruiting and player compensation and all those things. So a good way to steer the ship back the right way, and we'll see if there's more to come for Auburn and Hugh Freeze.
Absolutely. I think that's a great sign that the things are not as off the track as those would have you believe. And folks, I continue to ask you to do critical thinking and don't just react to headlines that you're seeing. But congratulations to Adam for committing and being part of this 2026 class. Let's go ahead and move into our first main topic this evening. And it's, again, like we plan things out, we kind of transition from what included a partial non-great subject. We never want to hear of the Auburn experience not cover even some of the not so fun things.
Yeah,
I think sometimes you and I are proud of the fact that we get put more in the sunshine pumper category, which I wear as a badge of honor. I'm even thinking of making a t-shirt about it, that somehow you feel like that's a bad thing in the world. No, there's a difference between just being someone who chooses not to just be I don't know, there's a phrase for that. Just making everything a catastrophe just for clicks and stuff like that. But we are going to talk about those things. And there does seem to be a correlation, a trend, coincidences that happen between Auburn and Summer in their athletics program. That there is some unfortunate event, whether that is a true tragedy of a loss of life, whether that is someone's mom or parent lost them to cancer or something like that. There just feels like there's just always this issue of bad things happening or bad choices, in this case for this week, being made for Auburn athletes during the summer. And I do want us to talk about that a little bit, but we do need to talk about the facts of what has transpired this week. First up, because this is first. Linebacker DJ Barber was arrested on Monday for 3 drug-related charges, 2 felony charges, and a misdemeanor for trafficking of marijuana, unlawful possession of a controlled substance, unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia, and then was subsequently dismissed from the team. So, very unfortunate, I think, Austin, for him, for the team. Decisions that not only affect the team, but affect now his life, because from what I understand from articles written about this, his life just got drastically altered if this is carried out to even the maximum sentence that it could be. And I hate seeing this, Austin. I hate seeing young guys throwing their life away for stupid decisions like this.
Yeah, it's really sad. Certainly, it's hard to find the words to say about it, just because it's hard to think about how a decision can get that far.
Sure.
And you certainly hope that there's people in DJ's corner that are able to stand with him through this and help him get through the other side to see a brighter spot out of this. I certainly believe that there's no far you can go too far to where you can't come back from, especially when if you have your beliefs in the right spot. I think that that can be the case for DJ and his family and DJ and the friend he was with.
Yep.
But I certainly hope that there's a what's my word here? Not just
a redemption story.
Redemption. Thank you.
Yeah.
A redemption. Certainly, if not on this side of heaven, on the other side. But I hope that there's a learning moment here for DJ and his family, and that it doesn't have to be as bad as it could be.
Sure. Yeah. And I think I know it's blasphemous to bring up the other side of the state on this, but they obviously have someone in their history that's been through a major life altering poor decision now post being at Alabama, but Henry Ruggs and taking the life of someone with reckless driving. And there's been stories lately about him considering once he gets out and serving all those years he has, about how he's changed his life, how he's, I believe, come more spiritual.
And I hope so.
And I hope so as well. So I think that could be a source of inspiration for DJ and potentially help him find his purpose after this time. I hope that this is only a blip on the story for him. But the reality is, Austin, and not to be callous about this, but we talk about Auburn sports and we talk about Auburn football. This is a big hit for Auburn's linebacker room because this is a group that lost all that leadership, all that talent. I'm not saying that DJ was automatically going to be a starter playing significant amount of time, but you got to think this is a guy that may have factored into the rotation significantly. He's been here for, at least a year or so. And so I got to think that there's going to be some unfortunate ramifications for the football team as well. Obviously saying that his ramifications are more important though.
Sure. Well, I mean, like you said, DJ had been here a year. He knows the system. He knows how Hugh Freeze and Auburn expect to do things. And so even if, Auburn's recruiting has been talented and the class that's coming in or has come in is just as talented, and there's linebackers there as well, they have not been in the strength and conditioning program for a year. They've not been in the defensive meetings for a year with DJ Durkin and figuring out all the things of how college football works for a year. So it certainly upsets your depth a little bit. But I think it's something where hopefully there's a next man up mentality for Auburn and whoever else is in that linebacker room to fill in that void. But it's certainly unfortunate across a myriad of reasons, but especially too in Auburn's linebacker room.
Absolutely. So obviously it's not a great story, right? No matter which way we slice it, for the team, for him. All we ask is I hope that there's a redemption story for this, and that the Auburn football team is able to find a way to cope with this. But there was really only one decision with this type of seriousness, and the decisions and the ramifications of all this. He had to be dismissed from the team, and I think that was unfortunately the appropriate response for that. So that is the first bad news this week, and it just feels like when it rains, it pours. Later in the weekend, I think it's the more appropriate term. Tahad Pettiford was arrested early Saturday morning for a DUI charge in Lee County. This coming off a heightened situation of importance for him, being the main returner for Auburn, having so much publicity about how high he could have potentially gone at that young age in the NBA draft, coming back. So there's been a lot of talk about Tahad Pettiford. I did not have on my bingo card for him to be involved in this situation. He is underage. He was involved in a DUI situation in Lee County. That's the facts. And unfortunately, we are sitting here today kind of trying to figure out, once again, whether it's a DUI charges that we discussed for another player earlier, why this kind of happens. And we can get to that. But how do we? I got some statements we can read from him and from the coach, but certainly, what's your thoughts on Tahad and anything there?
Yeah, it's unfortunate and really surprising, I think, to a lot of people. I certainly, had a text from somebody who sent me the link when I woke up. I guess that was yesterday morning. And so, I think a lot of people were surprised more than anything. I've seen a lot of people talk about getting the specifics about his blood alcohol content level, and while very low, it doesn't necessarily constitute a DUI if you're overage. And I think that's important to remember, is that it is still a DUI if you are underage, and Tahad is underage.
Sure.
And so, regardless of the semantics and specifics of the situation, regardless of what you think of if it should have been a mistake or not, or what kind of mistake it should have been, he's underage. The rule is the rule. And I think Tahad's statement, I think when you take that into account, reflects that. I think he recognizes how just it was a bonehead mistake. I hope so, because, it's one of those things. And, I don't want to get to here he big on here. I just talked about with DJ. I hope there's a redemption story here and forgiveness for all involved. And I feel that same way about Tahad as well. I want to just preface with that. But it's 2025, and underage or overage. There's a bunch of easy ways to find a way home. In this, if you've been consuming a little bit too much, and so I just hope that this is a learning experience for him, based on Coach Burrell's statement and Tahad's statement. I trust that it will be. And I think this could be one of those situations where Tahad recognizes just how much of a leader he needs to be for this team. And it's a good kick in the pants. So we'll see. It's sad. I think in a contrast to DJ's situation, it's more of a surprise, not because of anything about DJ's character, but because of who the Auburn people have kind of come to know Tahad as and love Tahad as. And that won't change, but I think it's just been a surprise of what all the hype recently around him.
Yeah, and he's got the star power, so a few more eyes get on this, and kind of like we set up talking about that. So both are poor decisions. Both have ramifications, some more serious than the other. But the reality is that while you will face consequences for you, this is you, me, everybody else that we make in life. It's more how you respond to them that is the most important thing. That's one of the big things that I've always lived by and I preach. I'm more concerned with what you do after you made the mistake rather than the mistake, although you will have to make the appropriate serve the consequence, all that things of whatever it is. Here's the statement from Tahad, and I think some of our viewers have even said, they thought it was a great statement. He said, "Last night I made a serious mistake, and one that I take full responsibility for. My actions put myself and others at risk, and for that I am deeply sorry. There is no excuse. To my family, teammates, coaches, and fans, I know that I've let you down. I understand the disappointment and concern that this has caused, and I want you to know that I'm taking this seriously. This is not who I am and not who I will be. I'm committed to learning from this moment and making meaningful, positive changes in my life. I'm grateful for the support and accountability of those around me, and I will work to earn back the trust I have lost." I love that last line. I will work to earn back the trust. Certainly, I don't ignore the fact that there are people helping him form these statements and things like that. But you gotta, that there's I feel like some heart in that one. I will work to earn back the trust I've lost. He recognizes that this is about earning back the trust of his teammates, the coaches, and the fans too. But as we tried to talk about these things, remember, it's not about what you've done, but what you do after you have dealt with those consequences of whatever you've done. Maybe to tie this all up here, Austin, I do feel whether it is the Auburn pessimists in us, or maybe there is something here. And Auburn's not the only one that deals with this. Why is it during the summertime these things continue to crop up? I mean, it feels like every year we kind of set a clock as soon as the year ends on the athletic calendar year. Can we get through the summer without X incident happening, big or small? Like it just, Am I the only one that feels that way?
No, I think you're. Every time something like this happens, I think of the little chart they have in Monsters Inc. That's like certain amount of days since last incident. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, start the clock over, put the sheet, and it, I think there's a logistical reason for it. For one, I think it's summertime. These kids are not in the strenuous schedule and routine down to the minute that they usually are. Football camp is not back yet. Tahad is just getting back on campus from his training and going through the draft process, all those things. It is not in season mode, right? And I think that helps keep these kids, a lot of these kids, out of trouble for the majority. Certainly things can still happen, but summertime is less structure, as one of our viewers said. And I think that's a truth of the matter. I also think too, I don't want to just sugarcoat it and make it seem like it's not that big a deal, but we're dealing with teenagers too, who are, experiencing some freedom, experiencing some changes for the first time in their life of what they can and can't do. I think that's part of it. I think, like you said, Auburn's not the only one that deals with this. Maybe because we follow it so closely, we're a little more in tune to it. But it is strange how it's like, Auburn's good for about one a summer at least. And this week it was 2 in a week. But I don't know. Do you see anything different that makes you feel that way?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Less structure. They're young. I was young and dumb once, and while I would probably never shut up.
Now you're just old.
I'm now just old and dumb. I will say this, even though I would never probably be in anybody's category for being someone who lives on the edge of life. You know, when I got to college and got the freedom from what I felt was a very structured household, I remember the first night that I was there, I literally, you just don't know what to do with your freedom sometimes, right? Like you just, I literally, my parents left. Sorry, Mom, if you're watching this. And I was so excited with like, I can do whatever I want. Yeah. I just sat there. Like I just sat there in the room and like, I can go anywhere. I can do anything. There's nobody to hold me essentially accountable here right now. And sometimes you just, that wasn't a stupid decision. Obviously it was a boring decision on my part, but like, you don't think sometimes, or you get influenced by things. And Todd's got a lot of people speaking in his ear right now, you know, a different influence. He's been surrounded by people at the NBA level and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot coming at these kids. There's a lot of pressure on these kids, not excusing that in any way. It is a stupid decision, and he's already taken full accountability before then with it. Same thing for DJ. He's got a lot going that he's got an uphill climb as well. You know, we all make stupid decisions. I will say, maybe this is the last thing I want to say on it. I hope people will notice that NIL doesn't fix everything, because if DJ was involved in things that were trafficking in nature and selling of things, that shows that NIL doesn't fix everything. NIL doesn't make everything great. There are still, you know, people make poor choices, bad habits. How about this? Let's just make a blanket statement, Austin. Money doesn't solve your problems. And we don't know DJ's situation with NIL, but I'm going to venture to say he's probably had some opportunities that I haven't had. Just kind of thinking about where we are and the money that's being thrown around. And I've also had opportunities that he hasn't had as well. So we don't know everybody's life story, but I think we can all find this one thing in common: money, fame, all that does not fix everything in life. I feel like that. It's like a little bow.
Well said. If you came looking for some words of wisdom, you just got it. There it is.
Just from an old and dumb guy, not a young and dumb guy, but an old and dumb guy. So we did want to spend some time on our show talking about the not so good things and acknowledge it. So we don't.
It's part of it. It's part of the Auburn experience. Sometimes there's not so good things.
That roller coaster ride just does this.
That's right.
This week was a little bit of a dip in that, but hopefully we're rising back up to the top of that hill to see the view again. Let's move on to our next and last major topic this evening. A little bit of Auburn baseball. Certainly, we've been taking some more extended breaks from that with the season ending, but boy, what a great season it was for Auburn baseball following that. And this is kind of that last benchmark of the season, or the end of the cycle, where you get to the draft and see what's going to happen there. So we're going to spend some time today, like we did with the NBA segment last week, one of the two, talking about Auburn and the MLB. Let's start with the draft. As we sit here on this evening recording live with you all, for those of you listening on the main audio, you're here now obviously a few hours later. Ike Irish is the only one that has been drafted for Auburn baseball. There is still another date. It is actively happening right now.
I've been watching. I got it right here.
He's literally, his eyes keep darting over the side. Yeah. I was like, I think I know what he's doing. So you may get live updates here. We don't think we anticipate anything. Fun. That would actually be awesome. But right now, let's start off with this. Ike Irish headlines Auburn's MLB Draft 2025 as the first pick for them, 19th overall to the Baltimore Orioles. He's going to be wearing a different flavor of orange. Yeah, but he's heading over there to the Birds and is going to participate with them. Yeah, I think there's a couple ways we can talk about this pick. I want to see where you want to take it first before I give my angle, but take it away with what you want to talk about, Ike.
Yeah, I love it. I love the fit. I love the pick. I was kind of reading some Oriole replies and seeing how people thought about Ike, and they list him as a catcher, and so that throws people a little because they have a very strong young catching core with a first overall pick from a few years ago in Adley Rushman. But Ike is an outfielder and a catcher, and I think that they will probably determine what he is as it keeps going. Of course, you always need depth, but I think his versatility is what made him a first-round pick for a lot of people, and the Baltimore Orioles will certainly benefit from that. It's a young group, young team with a lot of talent that's kind of been on the upswing, and certainly Ike with his experience in the SEC and playing so well in college for 3 straight years. I think you'll see him rise through the ranks pretty quickly. I think it'd be notable not to it'd be what's my word here? I'm just blanking tonight. It would be amiss not to mention how notable it is that he would be paired up with Gunnar Henderson, a former Auburn commit from the area, a local kid who still comes back and is a celebrity in from time to time for Auburn basketball games. So there's your Auburn connection there, and we'll see if any more pan out. But a really cool fit for Ike. Gets to go back kind of closer to home a little bit up north, and be closer to home in that colder weather. But good for Ike, man. It slipped a little bit more than maybe some people went.
Yeah.
I think the top of the draft went kind of wacky, so that throws everything in flux. But another first-round draft pick for Butch Thompson and Auburn, and Ike's one of the best ones they've had.
Yeah, I want us to talk about some of the history and statistics with his pick, but certainly let's talk about that. Watching the draft, I was very frustrated for him because a lot of people had him in the top 10. And I think as high as 6 in some people's eyes that I saw, 9, 10 seemed to be the spot. So right there to be top 10. I had some graphics ready for those top 10 ones, and it didn't happen. I'm not going to act like I'm a pro in the MLB draft, but this was the commentary that was happening. And it seemed like for whatever reason, shortstops was the buzzword this year, and everybody was taking shortstop, but high schoolers especially. Yes. I think this draft kind of got turned on its head early by some picks that kind of changed what others were going to do. And when people just hammer me all the time, you know how much I just the speculative stuff sometimes gets on my nerves. Sometimes people are like, what do you think he's going to get picked? I was like, I have no clue, because one pick sets off a chain reaction that can just drastically change this. Ike Irish probably should have gone in the top 10. But here, because of whatever reason, the buzzword and that somebody sent out the all call to the teams, get you a shortstop while they're hot, and probably from high school, he tumbles down a little bit. But regardless, first round pick, this is a huge day for Auburn. We'll tell you why in a second. The other thing, you brought it up too. What's he going to play? Catcher or offense? I almost said like offensive line or something like that for outfield. Right field specifically is what he was listed on the ticker on ESPN. They said it best, I think. If he can show that he can do both still at this level, his value skyrockets. Yep. And it's overused, the phrase overused, but a steal for the Baltimore Orioles in being able to do both of those things really, really well. So any opinions? What do you think he might do, catcher? Or
well, I think, like you said, Ike stumbles down the list just because of different opinions and the MLB. Not to get in the weeds, this is not the MLB experience, and thank goodness it's not. But like the MLB draft is so not like any other pro drafts. With, so like, weird, man. One, you got high scores. 2, there's all sorts of like money decisions with it. Like you can pay kids what you want to pay them if they agree to it. It lets you open up more money later. It's very strange, and so I think that kind of hurt Ike in this situation. I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme. He's going to get a good deal. He's going to a good situation in Baltimore. And of course, just like other pro, or like I just said about draft, baseball is very different because Ike's going to be in a myriad of places before he hits Baltimore, in the minor leagues and such. But I think to transition to that in the minor leagues is where they're going to figure out if Ike can continue to play both, and if he can continue to be the versatility and have that versatility that he's had at Auburn, whether it be throwing guys out from behind the plate or throwing guys out from the outfield. So if he can continue to do that, I think they'll love him. They'll love him all the more, and I think he'll find his way to Baltimore very quickly. One other tidbit that I meant to mention when I talked about the fit, the people who designed and built Camden Yards had a hand in designing and building Plainsman Park. Well said. Nice little tidbit there for Ike to. He's familiar hitting bombs in some brickyards, and one that got very pretty last year. So we'll see how he does up at the OG Plainsman Park.
Yeah, I'm really excited for what he can do. He becomes the 5th highest drafted Auburn baseball player in their program's history. And he had a shot to be number 4 if they hadn't tumbled a little bit. Gabe Gross still edges him out as the number 4 highest drafted in Auburn baseball history, but no less an exciting pick here. Let's talk about the general history with this, with Ike Irish going 19th overall, first round to the Baltimore Orioles. This adds to a list.
Wait.
What did I say? What did I mess up? What did I mess up? Oh, no.
Whoever is watching and listening live, please have AI do a mock-up of the Baltimore Orioles. I need to see
Oreos?
I need to see a baseball team that's the Baltimore Orioles. That if Orioles organization, you're not listening to this, but if you are, because you're trying to find out something about Ike Irish you don't already know after your years of scouting him, please make a minor league team named the Baltimore Orioles. We'll come out. Kyle will throw the first pitch. Please let me see that. The Baltimore Orioles is an incredible name.
Orioles, the Baltimore Orioles, not Oreos, Orioles. It's 3 syllables. Oreo. Yeah, Oreos has got 3 syllables if you drag it out. Okay, anyway, enough with the Oreos. Talk about the history. Auburn, Ike Irish, he goes 19th overall, first round draft pick, and he adds to the list of Auburn first round draft pick selections. It's not super long list, so I can give you the full thing here. This is 2020, Tanner Burns, 2018, Casey Mize, 2018, Anthony Greer, 2007, Josh Donaldson, 2001, Gabe Gross, 2000, Chris Budacek. I think that's how that says on there. 1997, Brian Hebson, 1989, Frank Thomas, and 1988, Greg Olson, who we just got done talking about in the Mount Rushmore of Auburn pitchers. Go check it out if you haven't. So this list continues to grow. I think more importantly, it continues to grow under Butch Thompson. You and I talk about this a lot, how people need to never again, without due cause and facts on your side, to ever question Butch Thompson. This makes Anthony Greer, I believe he was here for Greer, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Casey Mize, Tanner Burns, Ike Irish, that he has brought to the Plains, continue to help them develop, and get them to the next level in the first round. 2 outfielders, 2 pitchers, so he can do it on both sides of the ball, so to speak. So what a history that we have for first rounders in Auburn.
Oh, absolutely. And it just continues to develop and grow. The more impressive recruiting classes that come in, the more talent Butch Thompson brings in and then develops them into these guys. Casey Mize is one of the better examples, because not drafted out of high school, comes to Auburn, ends up number one. Just really impressive. But Ike was a talented guy coming out of high school. I don't think many people had him as a first round pick. If they had, then he wouldn't have come to Auburn. But just really impressive for Butch. Speaks to that he more and more that he is incredibly qualified to continue to be the head coach at Auburn University, and we're certainly glad he is.
The history speaks for itself, and Ike Irish is only the next, not only acting like that's just nothing, is the next page in the chapters that is being laid out by Coach Butch Thompson, and that's been laid out by Auburn baseball as a great place for you to come for your career and get to the MLB draft into the first round. The next one, Ike Irish to the Baltimore Orioles. In case you're wondering, so certainly we're talking about this live as it's happening. Here's some players that you need to be kind of watching for, at least draft eligible players for Auburn baseball. We may talk about some of these next week. We're going to have it, by the way, if you don't know, we're going to have a busy time next week with a lot of stuff going on. So we'll squeeze in as much as we can. For Auburn's draft eligible players, Alex Petrovic, Bristol Carter, Cade Fisher, Dylan Watts, Cam Tilley, Eric Snow. We already talked about Ike Irish. You got Mason Koch and Lucas Steele. Those are all sophomores and juniors that are eligible, potentially go. There's also seniors as well that are throwing their hat into the mix. There's a bunch of potential prospects as well that may or may not get picked up. Do you know, Austin, at this current time we sit in the draft process, has anybody been picked up in terms of commits or?
No, not commits. I'm not totally sure. I have not seen. We are in the competitive. Look, people have already warned you. Major League Baseball is very weird. We're in the competitive balance B round, so that's the round in between second and third. Small shout out, my cousin just got drafted by the Cleveland Guardians.
Well, look at that. That just happened live. Give him a shout out. This is the Auburn show. But
look, Aaron Walton is his name. I'm incredibly proud of him. He's an outfielder from the University of Arizona, drafted with the 66th overall pick, the Cleveland Guardians. So congrats to Aaron. But look, Aaron's come up on this show before. because Aaron used to be the center fielder at Samford, where
I remember that.
I have garnered lots of grief over the years. But he transferred to Arizona, and it certainly paid off for him. So, Aaron, you're not watching and you're not listening, but congrats to you, kiddo. When I say this is not, I will not get sappy quick, but when I say that kid, I've watched him hit a ball for a very long time in our grandparents' backyard, and dreamed of playing in Omaha. Got to do it, and has dreamed of playing Major League Baseball, and it'll be coming soon. So, congrats to Aaron. To answer your question, I'm not as familiar about the MLB prospects or the Auburn prospects names. I think I would have recognized one or two. Of the two I've heard, I'm blanking on one. The other one is Mason McCrane from Glenwood School in Smith Station. I know he is potentially projected in these early rounds and would be one that Auburn's not sure if they could keep or not. I have not seen his name yet, though. So it'll probably be more tracking tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow we're doing this on a Sunday once again, just to remind you. So we're having to split this up and do a MLB draft update in 2 parts for you across 2 episodes. But keep in mind for some of those names that are currently at Auburn that might come to Auburn. Transfers as well are in the mix. Some that have already decided that they would like to come to Auburn but are testing the waters in the MLB draft. To round out our time with Auburn in the MLB, I thought it would be appropriate for us to remind you of who currently is, at least as much as we can, in the MLB. Your Auburn baseball players that are currently there that you need to be paying attention to. Let's just go ahead and start with this one. This isn't even like going in order of a list or anything. Davis Daniel just got recalled up by the Atlanta Braves as a relief pitcher.
Started today.
Today. So do you know did he play today at all, or did
he did? He started the game and went 3 innings. They went into like 3 different rain delays, and I know he came back from the first one. And threw some more, went into rain delay again, and at that point it's just too long. These pitchers are creatures of habit, and it's just too long at that point. But did well, had the lead when the rain delay, second or third rain delay occurred, and once he left, if you followed the Braves, you probably know what happened. But this year, but we'll just skip past that. Davis had a good day though, and he, I think he'd been set to come back to the major league team earlier. And had a child, and so was on paternity leave. So congrats to him and his family on a new little baby. But came back and certainly did well. And look, if you do well on the Braves this year, there's a good chance you're sticking around because there's not many people who are doing it. So hopefully Davis gets another shot soon.
Yeah, listen, the first time he got called up this year, I remember seeing his outing. I was like, okay, that was pretty decent from what I understand. And in fact that you're doing it again shows, even with a team that's struggling, that you might have a shot up here and there. And we know how much Auburn fans, the majority of us, tend to lean at least to some affinity of the Atlanta Braves. That's a good connection there to have. So just something to start off with. Ike is your newest addition to the Baltimore Orioles. Now he's got to work his way up to get to the big league ball club there, but certainly your latest prospect here. As this is information on the Auburn website as of like June 11th. So some of this may be a little bit off, but we're going to go with the official source here. Your biggest players that you want to be paying attention to: Ryan Bliss with the Seattle Mariners, Richard Fitz with the Boston Red Sox, Bailey Horn. I remember that recently being mentioned for the Detroit Tigers. Casey Mize, with the Detroit Tigers, who just got named to the All-Star list for them. So that was a big surprise this week. Especially think about how difficult his start has been with injuries, being the number 1 overall pick, all that hype, all that pressure, and you can't stay healthy. He's finally made it. Even maybe, and I think he was added because someone, but that's an honor to be putting on that, and that's a validation, I think, in some ways for the story of tracking the success with Butch Thompson, getting him to the number 1 overall pick, and now to an all-star. Daniel Robert with the Philadelphia Phillies. So of those guys that I mentioned, anything else stick out to you that you want to mention about Auburn and the MLB?
Well, you're right. Casey Mize, it's been, an up and down time for him since getting to Detroit. Has certainly had some struggles. Injuries haven't helped, like you mentioned, but has put together a really good year this year on the best team in baseball. So he's doing it at a high level around guys who are doing it at a high level. So very deserving honor for Casey, and hopefully he gets some good time in the All-Star game later this week. So just really neat. I can't think of anything quite other else with who's been playing well this year from Auburn. But I think that a lot of these names that are right on the edge or on the cusp in the minor leagues. I think of Blake Burkhalter, talking about the Braves again, their struggles. I think he just left Columbus, got called up to AAA. Wouldn't be surprised if you see Blake come back or come up to the Braves soon.
Braves need help, as we talked about.
Look, if I could throw anything, well, they'd probably call me. They won't, I assure you of that. But Blake's had surgery too, and so oh wow, Max Ballou just got drafted, and I had to do a double take there for a second. It's spelled exactly the same, Ballou, as Cade. Yeah. I just one of those things where I was like,
panic attack there, didn't you?
I was like, we hadn't talked about him. But yeah, so Auburn is all over the Major League Baseball scene right now, and certainly I think there's more to come.
Yeah, 62 players currently have been named to or made it to the majors for Auburn, and I feel like we're about to obviously add that to the list here. Those are some of the names that are currently cycling into Major League ball clubs. You can go to Auburn's website, just type in Auburn in the MLB, and it's like the first thing that comes up. You can see the full list. I'm not going to bore y'all with the details across AAA, AA. Did you know there's a high A now? Not just single A?
Yes, I did. One because I have a very strange obsession with minor league baseball shirts. If I'm going by a stadium, I go get one. I think they're great. I think they're so weird, just like me. So, yeah, but I did know you go through a lot, unless you're like just knocking it out of the park. You go through a lot of teams to get to the big league team. Yeah. Like that's why these guys that, stick around in it for 10 years in the minors, where it's not glamorous living, and then make it, it's a pretty cool story.
Some other names, maybe just to remember. Edouard Julien, who has been in the major leagues for a while. He's now playing AAA for the Twins, so he may make it back up soon, or hopefully. Josh Palacios once with the Pirates.
Okay.
Once with the Pirates, but now he's with the Chicago White Sox.
Oh, so he's bounced around.
Yeah, he's bounced around. So probably hitting that part of his career. But he's been there for a while, so he may find his way back up to the top. Tanner Burns probably is one you want to be paying attention to as a first-round pick. He might find his way with the Cleveland Guardians. But there you go. Kind of not a full overview of the MLB and Auburn, but giving you kind of a picture of what to expect going forward with where people are currently at. MLB season is currently going on for Auburn. And look, as Auburn fans, we're always trying to connect back to the orange and blue, and you got to know where our people are, at least currently, to pay attention to them and see what they're potentially doing. But there you go. We'll update you guys next week on the rest of the Auburn and MLB draft story for 2025. That's going to do it for episode 133 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, we thank you guys for spending some time with us here today and talking about everything orange and blue. If you want to keep up with me, do so at or on X, Kyle Loomis 24. You can hit us up on email, E2CNetwork@gmail.com. If you ever want to hit us up that way, where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on X on Instagram. Yeah, hope everybody's enjoys it and enjoys this episode. I think it was a different episode for us with just the summer drama and then kind of heavy on pro baseball. But look, it's summertime. Sometimes those happen.
This is why we call it the Auburn Experience and why we stretch it out all across everything orange and blue, sports or otherwise, because if you don't value the full experience, then you're going to be just living half an Auburn life. Not even half an Auburn life, just not to the fullest. With that being said, thanks for hanging out with us today until we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks, thanks for hanging out with the live stream portion of the show, or the live broadcast and recording. Most of you know the drill now. We enter into a time of Q&A with myself. I've got some of your comments and questions that you asked during the show saved just in case Herb or Raj, I don't know which one is here right now. Yes, I know I need to respond to you guys on an appearance thing. So I don't know if they're still here, but they were commenting throughout the show. And obviously they wouldn't know that we don't do typically a lot of responding with our chat until this point of the broadcast. For you, sir, I know you got to run. Final questions or comments or whatever you want to do with your sign off.
Yeah, hope everybody has a good week and it's big weekend media days. So
man. He's all choked up about it too.
I'm just so choked up about it. It's just it's talking season, so there'll be plenty to talk about for us to cover next week on it.
Yeah, and we failed to just at least mention the college football 26 game. I have not had a chance to play it yet. As I talked about at the start of the show, been busy this week. So I literally packed up my system, took it with me if I had time to purchase it and then start producing content from a hotel room. That never happened, obviously. So adding that to my schedule, I've got several appearances to make on things, SEC media days, other things. So I'm just going from being on the road and busy to being at home and busy. But it's always good to be with you, my friend.
Good to see you, and we'll talk soon.
All right. See you later.
Thanks so much, War Eagle.
All right. You're stuck with me for the rest of the time. I don't know why I took, but we could just do that part of the screen there. I probably should just move out of this part when the show hits this point, but I don't know why. I'm here. We're here, man. Okay. Don't run anywhere. We'd love for you to drop some more comments and questions, and we'll kind of use this as a Q&A time. We typically go for about an hour, but we can extend it a little bit. A couple reminders for you this week. I am just getting back into the saddle. So for regular content, just kind of be a little bit patient as I catch back up on what's been a very busy week for me. Hoping to get some of that Auburn and college football 26 content out for you this week. And we'll be doing that as much as we can with balancing SEC media days. I will be making an appearance on Herb and Raj's Alabama show this week. I believe I also will be making an appearance before that on a Tennessee show. And I'm working with Randy, who's been here before, to get on the Georgia show, although he's also wanting me on it on Tuesday at around the same time as everybody else is. But unfortunately, he got to me last, so we'll have to see when I can appear with him. I asked the question earlier this week, why is everybody wanting to talk to me on Tuesday? Duh, Kyle, Auburn SEC Media Days Tuesday. So there will also be some form of content around that. Again, just bear with me as I kind of get back into the saddle of things here. Everett Podcast this week is our somewhat regular audio show where I just kind of catch you up on good Auburn news that's kind of coming out as it is throughout the day. This show, make sure you please download, subscribe. Wednesday night show, the Auburn Family Night show, where you can call into that particular one. And of course, we'll be back next Sunday with another episode of the Auburn Experience. That gives you the gist of what to expect this week. There's going to be a lot out there. You guys will have plenty to keep up to date with. All right, let's tackle some comments and questions here. Unbeaten Lake says, be prepared for 100 questions about golf at media days. My goodness. Yes. Unbeaten Lake, you're just going to get me stirred up about things I don't need to be stirred up. The amount of I'm not shocked that media personalities will try to go find information and contrive it in a way to stir people up to get clicks and stuff like that. That doesn't shock me. You have to do that to some degree to get y'all to click on things. I'm just going to be honest about it. But the fact that people just fall for it wholesale now and just get themselves all riled up for stupid reasons, that to me is just, I cannot fathom it. It's just terrible at this point. Speaking of, I'm kidding. What's worse, going on an Alabama show, a Georgia show, or a Tennessee show? Man. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if I'm talking to Herb or Raj here, but it doesn't matter, I guess. Although I think we picked on Raj last time a lot when I was on the show. I really enjoy being on you guys' show. So right now, I'm assuming that's the show that you're asking I'm going to be on here, right? So I'm probably going to say I'd rather be on y'all's show than a Tennessee show because I don't know these guys quite yet. I'm looking forward to getting to know them. And I know Randy. So let me just say, let me switch the question around here. Make this, if it wasn't you guys, if it wasn't Randy, and obviously I'm going to get to know the Tennessee guys. If I didn't have any familiarity with them, just go on that. Of course, it's going to be, I'd rather go on Tennessee so we can commiserate about how much we hate Alabama. And then I'm going to go then on Georgia just so I can watch grown men bark and just pity them. And then I'm going to go on the Alabama show and just cause havoc. That's just, that's how things go in my, I guess, way I would process it and think about it. A couple other things were brought up throughout the stream here. Let me look through here. Devin asked, is the MLB draft the same as NBA and NFL? You can't come back if you declare, or do you even declare for the MLB? Some of you guys were giving her answers on your understanding. I don't have place to go back and look at that succinctly here. But what I remember is you can get drafted in the MLB draft, and if you don't do certain things, you can come back. That's happened a lot where people were picked up really late, high school prospects in the MLB draft, and chose to stay, either finish their high school and go to Auburn as opposed to going to the particular team and organization that picked them up. So it's really weird. It's really different. I don't even understand it. I don't understand why people try to predict why or where people are going to go in this particular draft situation. It's wild. It's hard to predict. I'm just happy that Ike Irish got his opportunity, and even if it's a little bit lower than we wanted him to. Another addition to this week, add into all this, I do feel like I'm coming down with something, so I'm hoping my voice doesn't go away. At the very least, I can pretend to feel well for 30-minute to an hour long shows, but if my voice sounds bad, that could be a problem on what's going to be already a very, very busy week. So I'm hanging in there, Herb and Raj. Anything else that we need to address before we get out of here? I think I hit the high points of what you guys, some of you were welcoming me back. Thank you for that, and the kind words about my brother getting married. We were very excited about having her as part of the family, even though she's a Baylor Bear, and that's an interesting timeline of events for this year. Yeah, it's weird. Has your voice ever sounded good? Wow, WT. Here I am trying to struggle through this. Can always count on you, WT. My biggest complaint with College Football 26 is you still can't have it snow in Jordan-Hare. To be honest, that's true to the reality of that. You're not going to have snow in Jordan-Hare. You might have the best chance in the Iron Bowl. So maybe, to be truest, you could raise the chances of it to 5% in the Iron Bowl. They had the Ice Bowl one year. But I understand. I love looking at games in the snow, and it would be after seeing certain content of the snow in Jordan-Hare with the big Auburn snowstorm this year, which you should go look at online. So we've got some stuff from the campus all on there for you guys. I can attest it would be pretty to see Jordan-Hare all wrapped in snow. Devin says, I missed it. Are we doing the regular Wednesday night show this week? Yes. The drill is for you guys. Every Wednesday night and every Sunday night, unless I say differently, I will be here for a podcast recording and a Wednesday night call-in show, unless some things like that happen. I don't anticipate any other conflicts for Wednesday night for a long time, outside of some news breaking that transitions us to have to focus on that and not have a traditional call-in show. I don't have any other vacations planned at this time on Wednesday that would take me away during that point. Sunday nights, maybe always has kind of a risk if I'm traveling back from somewhere, but that hasn't happened in a long time. I thought there was a risk we wouldn't be able to do this show tonight with our potential travel plans getting back, but we're here. We're awesome. We're ready. So I think we're pretty, from this point forward, as far as I know, I can't see a reason for us missing our Wednesday and Sunday night times. So you should feel pretty secure in that. But yeah, I guess that's how I would answer that. Bring in the media day notes. Yeah, I know a lot of y'all will want to talk heavily about media days on the Wednesday night show. I'm not going to commit to it outright yet, but I would hope to do a media days broadcast after Auburn's stuff is mainly done that day, which would probably be early afternoon, but I will work that in as best I can, because apparently for some odd, strange reason, I'm a very popular man on Tuesday. Alabama, Tennessee, and then I've got to talk to Randy about I've got emails and stuff that I've got to follow up with. All right, now I'm just rambling and I'm boring you guys, but thank you guys so much for being here. We're really starting to see the numbers pick back up a little bit of you guys arriving here. I know as the season gets closer, that always helps, but continue to help us build this little family within the Auburn family. Continue to smash the like button, the share button. Please, if you haven't, drop a, if you listen to the audio side of things, please do drop a review over there. Anything you can do to help spread the Auburn experience via us is a big win in helping us build our little family within the Auburn family. Thank you so much for that, guys, as well. We're looking forward to our time with you too. As always, you guys are the best little family within the Auburn family, and I appreciate you so much. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.